two final points, inshallah, we're done. It is also mentioned that Umar had an idea, and he wrote to Umar ibn al-Khattab asking permission to do this idea. He said, why don't we connect what is now called the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea? Because this will give us direct access, and supplies and whatnot can come. But Umar felt that this would give the Byzantine Empire direct access to Mecca. Think about it, right? And so he vetoed the idea. Of course, the idea remained in the minds of the people for 1,500 years, and it was only in the 20s and 30s, when the Suez Canal was finally built. This is the idea of Amr ibn al-As. Why don't we dig a canal from the Mediterranean to the Red Sea? Connect the Mediterranean to the Red Sea. This will save us so much time and money. And it was a good idea, but Umar also had a good reason to say no, and that is that the Muslim Ummah was not ready to have that direct linkage from the Byzantine Empire to the Roman Empire. So Egypt therefore came under Muslim control basically in the 18th year of the Hijrah, 18 to 19, and then 20th it was finished. 2 years. By the 20th of Hijrah, the entire land of Egypt, and as well Nubia, which is now Sudan, as well portions of Libya, they began to be conquered. Now, it is interesting to note that Egypt, with my utmost respect to my Egyptian brothers and sisters, did not play a major role in the early part of Islam at all. It was relatively insignificant. It was just a province of the provinces. And it was not any type of center of activity. And it was actually one incident that was to change this forever and to put Egypt on the center of the Muslim world. And that is, of course, the Mongol invasion, right? When Genghis Khan came out of nowhere and destroyed 80% of the Muslim world and brought to an end the Abbasid Caliphate and raped Baghdad, and Samarkand and Tashkent were wiped out, and the civilizations that were once of the greatest civilizations never ever flourished. So Afghanistan, for example, where it was, it never recovered, and it is now where it is from the invasion of the Mongols, right? To that time, to that day. Afghanistan, by the way, was one of the centers of civilization back in those days. Samarkand as well, and all these areas. You look still at the architecture in the middle of the desert. In Afghanistan, the middle of the desert, you find these amazing structures, all gone after the invasion of the Mongols. And it appeared Qiyamah had come. One small, minuscule dynasty stood up and fought against the Mongols, and for the first time in human history, won. And that is Al-Zahir Baybaras from the Mamluks. And the Mamluks were a small dynasty in Egypt. Insignificant. They would have been a footnote of one of the footnotes of a book of history. They were completely insignificant in the grand scale of things. But that is Allah's will. تُعِزُّ مَن تَشَاءُ وَتُذِلُّ مَن تَشَاءُ. And He took this small dynasty of the Mamluks, and it became the center stage of the Ummah. And ever since that year of 1261, the Battle of Ain Jalut, the Battle of Goliath, the Well of Goliath, right? The Battle of the Well of Goliath, Ain Jalut. Ever since that time, Egypt has remained a center of intellectual and political activity of the Muslim Ummah for 1,000 years. For the first few hundred years, Egypt did not have that time. In fact, if anything, it was associated with the Fatimids. Right? If anything, it was not the source of pride because of the Fatimids. People were scared and they hated the Fatimids. But subhanAllah, Qaddarallah, Egypt became the capital of even the modern world as well, because of Muhammad Ali and whatnot and al-Basha and all of this. And to this day, if there is any intellectual and political and basically a civilizational capital of the Arab world, really it is to this day Egypt. And that is why our own president, when he wanted to show that he's making a gesture to the Arab world when he got elected, where did he go speak? In Egypt. In Egypt, that's the whole